Hey guys, it's Stacey with Chapter Chicks, and I'm here with another requested review. It's over The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. It was requested to me by Psychic to Psychedelic, so thank you so much for recommending this book to me. And this book is also part of my March A&P reading theme, which was read a book about a different culture, and this book is about the German and the Jewish culture. This is about a girl named Liesel. She is living in 1939 Nazi Germany, and she is a book thief. One day she finds the grave digger's handbook in the snow, and she kind of picks it up and claims it as her own, and that just begins her string of book stealing. She begins to steal books from book burnings that the Nazis did. Her stepfather teaches her to read, so she kind of has a love for books and a love for words, and she just falls completely in love with it. The foster family ends up hiding a Jewish man in the basement named Max, and that's also the synopsis, so that's also something that comes into play during the story. First started, I was kind of confused, like, this is not the book thief who is narrating this. She's kind of a sub-narrator. I'm not going to tell you who the main narrator is because I think that's just something you should discover for yourself. This book actually really surprised me. I really thought it was about something else. I thought the main character was going to be a Jewish girl, but she's not. She's a German girl, which was a very strange twist because usually a book that takes place during World War II is usually focuses on the culture that's the victim, not the culture that's the herder. I really liked the perspective of an innocent young child, lived in Germany at the time and was German, but didn't really have anything to do with the Holocaust. My thoughts on the book: that it is brilliant. It's beautifully written. It's a beautiful story. I mean, it's just out of this world. It's beyond amazing, and I'm just going to say right now that this is probably going to be my #1 read of 2012. I doubt any book will come close to the greatness of this one. This one was kind of collecting dust on my shelf. It's something I bought a long time ago. I was always planning on reading but never picked it up. If you are the same, if you are somebody who is yet to read this, I'm telling you now, this needs to be next because it is just so good. One of the things I really love about this book is the way that it's written, the way that the structure of the writing is set up. The narrator, again, I'm not going to tell you who he is, but he like stops in the middle of the stories and he gives you like a little bit of tidbit information, like this is the 2 a.m. conversation that these two characters had. He'll stop and give you definitions of German words. There is a lot of German words incorporated into this writing, which I really liked, to have some different language thrown in there to the point where throughout the book you kind of get the meaning of certain words, which is amazing. Also, like, pictures in it, it's just so good. The setup of this is beautiful. The way the book is broken up, at the very beginning you get like a blank page that gives a theme for all these chapters and gives you the names of the chapters. Like in other times and other chunks of the story, the theme of the chapters would be the book that she acquired during those chapters. So I just love the way that it's set up. It's broken into 11 parts including the prologue, and I love the setup of this whole book. There's high points where she's going out and getting books, but there's also low points where she's just kind of sitting around talking with her step-parents or down in the basement reading and learning to read. So what I really loved about the writing is even during those dull parts, the author has such a way to make it exciting, to even where it is dull, and if they're really not really doing anything, it's still really exciting. It's still really high paced, and it's like that because of his writing style. Characters are just amazing. They're beautifully developed. Some of them have flaws, but you still love them even in spite of their flaws. It's just a beautifully set up story. Her foster parents, her friends, it's just, I can't explain enough how amazing this book is. So if it's not something you have not read yet, then please go check it out because it is just beautiful. Now for the spoiler section, I'm basically just going to be talking about my favorite parts in the book because I feel like most people have read it by now, and there's not really anything about this book that I can complain about. Let me rephrase that. There's nothing about this book I can complain about. I just want to go over some of my favorite points in it. So do not watch this part if you have not read because you will be spoiled. The one thing I'm going to talk about is I really like how Liesel is a German girl. I've never before had any story or any thought for the German people who weren't a part of the Holocaust. The only time I would ever think about them if it was somebody who was hiding a Jewish person or helped a Jewish person along during the Holocaust. But the day-to-day life of the German people was not something that I really considered ever because I was just more focused on the Jewish people in the Holocaust and their suffering. With how awful the Holocaust was, you automatically assume that all German people during that time were evil and were taking a part of it and did nothing to stop it. It was really different to see Germany through the eyes of people who really had nothing to do with the Holocaust, were living in the poorer districts and just trying to live out their regular lives, trying not to stand out in any way during that time. time, if you really did anything to try to stop it, the Holocaust, or stand up against the Holocaust or Hitler, you're really just putting yourself and your family in jeopardy, and that's not something that I really realized until reading this book. So it made me have some sympathy for the German people at the time who really didn't have anything to do with the Holocaust. So it kind of really opened my eyes up in that sense. Another one of my favorite parts of the book is Max's story to Liesel. He makes her the word shaker. He makes this whole little story about how all these Nazis came and planted trees of hatred, and then she planted a tree of friendship. It captures the whole Holocaust and their hatred, and some people trying to be based on love and hope. It was just a beautiful story. I loved it. I think it gave such a beautiful flavor to the story, and I just loved it. I bawled my eyes out at the end during the bombing. I mean, I don't know what part is sadder. Her kissing Ruby's lips goodbye after this whole time after he's been begging for a kiss. This description of taking Ruby was pretty sad, but when she finds her stepdad and she finds her stepdad's accordion, oh my gosh, my heart was just breaking. I had to stop reading it because I was on the last couple pages right before the bomb dropped, and my son came home from school, and I had to stop myself from reading it because I didn't want to bawl my eyes out right in front of my son. It's definitely one of my top reads. It's going to be my top read of the year. It's kind of heartbreaking in a sense to know that all year I will not read anything that even comes close to how amazing this book was, which is kind of depressing when you really think about it. I also want to talk about the last sentence in the book where Death then says that he is afraid of human beings. I thought that was a very interesting line, and I thought it was a very good way to close the book because it left me thinking, why would Death be afraid of human beings? And I had to kind of sit down and kind of let the story marinate to try to figure out why Death would be afraid of human beings when human beings are afraid of Death. The conclusion that I came to with this is that when Death is carrying all these souls over to the next world, he's seeing the worst parts of humankind. He's seeing how evil and how destructive and manipulative and just pure hatred that we can have for one another. That scares him because it scares me to sit back and look at what humankind was actually capable of and what we were capable of doing to each other. I mean, I understand now, like, who wouldn't be afraid of that? I'm a human being and I'm afraid of that. It's like we're capable of such beautiful things, but we're also capable of such horrible things. And that's kind of what I got from Death's last line, and I thought it was a beautiful line. I thought it wrapped up the story very well. Enough of me going on and on about how much I absolutely love this story. Tell me some of your favorite parts of the story. Did you cry? I mean, have you found a book that comes even close to this? The only book that I can think that is even remotely in this vicinity is Between Sage and Grey, but the writing style of this and the setup of the book kind of blows that one out of the water. But Between Sage and Grey by Rudis Petties is still up there with this one. But let me know if you came close to a book that is anything as beautiful and gorgeous as this one, because I don't think there is one out there. So this is Stacy with Chapter Chicks, and I hope you enjoyed the review and these chapters were for you. Bye guys.